Chapter 42 Dhritarashtra's Message. The Pandavas were sitting alone with Krishna when they received word of Sanjaya's arrival. Yudhishthira asked that Sanjaya be brought in at once, and he was received warmly. Sanjaya bowed before Krishna and all the brothers, and after he was seated, he spoke to Yudhishthira. O king, it is fortunate that I find you in good health and among friends. Surrounded by your brothers and the illustrious Krishna, you appear just like Indra. The aged and wise Dhritarashtra inquires after your welfare, along with the well-being of your wife and other relatives. After saying that everything was well, and after asking about the Kuru's welfare, Yudhishthira spoke. So, do the Kurus still think well of us? Do they remember Arjuna's unequaled prowess, and that he can send 60 arrows at once from his bow? And do they remember the mighty Bhima, who can make entire armies tremble when he picks up his mace? Do they remember the twins, who conquered so many regions of the earth by the mere strength of their arms? Surely Dhritarashtra's sons have not forgotten the defeat they met at Dvaitavan when Bhima and Arjuna had them released. Although we would be their friends and live with them in peace, I fear that this will not come to pass. Alas, Sanjaya, there seems to be no way to win over Duryodhana despite our best endeavors. Sadly, O king, it is exactly as you say. The Kurus are well, and they certainly remember you. Duryodhana is surrounded by both wise and wicked men, but he takes his inspiration only from the latter. His behavior towards you is surely reprehensible, and his father sincerely regrets it. Indeed, the old king often sits sighing, lost in feelings of repentance for the ill treatment you brothers have received at the hands of Duryodhana and the Kurus. He has consulted Brahmanas, and he knows that conspiring against friends is the worst of all sins. So now the king wants only to make a lasting peace among us all. Yes, the Kurus remember your power. It is a mystery how men of your caliber are forced to suffer so much misery. But we are sure that you will never abandon virtue for the sake of pleasure. O you who have created no enemies, listen now as I convey to you Dhritarashtra's message. Yudhishthira asked that Sanjaya speak the message before all the kings gathered at Virata's court. The charioteer then stood in their midst and bowed before speaking. Unto you I offer all respects. Dhritarashtra has sent me here to say that he desires peace. He inquires about your welfare and asks with all sincerity that there may be peace among us. This is what he said. The sons of Pandu are all virtuous. They are incapable of any kind of mean act. Yudhishthira is mild, generous, and forgiving, and he acts only for the welfare of all other beings. How could he be responsible for an act which will destroy us all, which is sinful, and which leads only to hell, an act which will bring the same result regardless of who is successful? Blessed are those who promote their cousins' interests. They are truly sons, well-wishers, and friends of the Kurus, who are prepared to sacrifice their own interests for that of the dynasty. Krishna smiled. The kings glanced at each other. Dhritarashtra's message was clear. They listened as Sanjaya clarified it further. If you succeed in subjugating the Kauravas, O sons of Kunti, and you thus regain your kingdom, what will you actually gain? Having slain your relatives, your life will be just like death. And what will be the result of a battle in which heroes such as yourselves, Keshava, Satyaki, Chaitanya, and others contend with Drona, Bhishma, Kripa, Ashvathama, and the other Kuru warriors? It means total annihilation. There will be no good to either side. I find it hard to believe that the Pandavas are capable of causing such destruction. And so, with clasped hands, I fall at the feet of Krishna, and I fall at the feet of the aged Drupada. Throwing myself upon your protection, I beg that all be well between the Kurus and the Pandavas. I know if someone requested it, you would give up your lives. So why then would you not act to preserve all these warriors? The hall remained silent. Yudhishthira waited until Sanjaya had taken his seat, and then mildly said, "Oh, Sanjaya, what have I said that made you think I want war? What man, so cursed by the gods, would choose war when peace can be made? The sons of Kunti will act only according to virtue, and thus bring happiness to all. One who acts according to the dictates of the senses follows a path leading to misery. And we become free from misery only when we are free from the longing to gratify our senses. Dhritarashtra and his foolish sons fail to understand this truth. Thus, they act in ways which never actually bring happiness." Yudhishthira looked at Krishna, who smiled in approval. Yudhishthira stood up as he continued speaking, appearing in his robes and ornaments like a golden banner raised in honor of Indra. Having accepted the advice of his dull-headed son, who is both wicked and addicted to sin, King Dhritarashtra now laments. Why did he not heed Vidura's words, who desired only the Kuru's well-being? To gain prestige for himself, Duryodhana seeks to deprive others of prestige. Duryodhana is jealous, wrathful, haughty, spiteful, and filled with lust. Dhritarashtra knows what his son has done, and still he chooses to follow him, thus forsaking both virtue and pleasure. Dhritarashtra cannot hold on to his ill-gotten gains much longer, although he wishes for unending prosperity. Dhritarashtra and his son Duryodhana desire to rule this earth undisputed. We have heard nothing to indicate that they have changed their minds, O Sanjaya. So now they consider that they rightfully possess all of the wealth which actually belongs to us. Yudhishthira indicated the kings who sat in a circle around the hall. All these monarchs know very well how Duryodhana came to possess our kingdom. He and his brothers, along with that unintelligent Karna, think that they can overcome us in battle. Obviously, they have not seen Arjuna with his Gandiva bow stretched to its limit, nor have they seen Bhima whirling his mace, or the twins with their swords in hand. Sanjaya, you know the troubles we have borne at the hands of the Kurus. Even so, I forgive them. Now, let there be peace between us. Let them return Indraprastha to me, and they keep Hastinapur. Let Dhritarashtra return what is rightfully ours. Sanjaya had delivered Dhritarashtra's message, but now he wished to speak on his own behalf. He was surprised to see the usually peaceful Yudhishthira so inclined towards war. There can be no doubt that you are attached to virtue, O King of men. Why do you desire to destroy the Kurus? Death may come at any moment, so it behooves all men to remain fixed on the path of truth. No one should even contemplate sin, for that may immediately lead one to hell. O Bharata, if the Kurus will not return your kingdom without war, would it not be better for you to live as a beggar than to seek their annihilation? Indeed, you could live happily with Krishna and the Yadavas. Please remember, desire for wealth is the enemy of virtue, and a wise man should shun it entirely. One who renounces desires and lives simply, even though devoid of wealth, shines like the sun and becomes famous in this world. But one who is the slave of desire, even if he obtains the earth, is ultimately ruined. As Dhritarashtra's intimate servant, Sanjaya wanted to carry out his mission in order to secure peace. He knew the Kauravas could not win the war, but he also doubted Yudhishthira's motives. Sanjaya was a spiritual disciple of Vyasadeva and had received many instructions from that rishi. It seemed to Sanjaya that Yudhishthira was allowing himself to become overpowered by material desire without considering what might be in his own spiritual interests. Sanjaya maintained a respectful tone. O son of Pratha, you have studied all the Vedas, and you have performed asceticism. You have controlled your mind and senses, and you are dedicated to performing sacrifices and giving charity. So why are you now giving vent to anger? You are already famous in this world as a man of the highest principles. You have presided over the Rajasuya, and you have offered gifts to hundreds of thousands of Brahmanas. O king, do not let all of this go in vain by now committing a great sin. Do not act impelled by malice and thereby destroy the results of all your asceticism and sacrifice. Surely, the best course for you now is forbearance, not the enjoyment gained at the cost of great men's lives. What happiness do you think you will enjoy when you and your brothers have slain all of your relatives? Even after gaining the earth, you will have to reap the results of both your good and bad deeds. Happiness and distress will arrive in due course, and in the end you will meet with decrepitude and death. O hero, knowing all of this, you should not fight. And if your advisors would have you fight, then you should abandon them. Do not forsake the path which leads to the worlds of the gods and even beyond. Sanjaya then sat down again, and Yudhishthira thought before replying. The sound of the jeweled fountains in the gardens outside made a gentle cascading resonance. Temple bells chimed in the distance, and fragrant incense billowed throughout the hall. The kings awaited Yudhishthira. Finally, he spoke. Yes, it is undoubtedly as you say, Sanjaya. One should never stray from virtue. But before blaming me, you should first ascertain whether it is virtue or vice I am following. For sometimes virtue may look like vice, and vice may look like virtue. So only after careful deliberation can one discriminate between the two. All men should follow the duties prescribed for them according to their respective social positions. Brahmanas may beg for a living, but Kshatriyas may never beg. Even in times of distress, kings and rulers should not accept alms. The Creator Brahma has ordained that we should live by gaining lordship over lands and protecting the people. I would not accept this entire earth, nor even the kingdoms of the gods, through unrighteousness. Here is Krishna, and he knows every facet of Vedic knowledge and possesses full wisdom. Let him decide what is right in this case. I will always follow Krishna's dictations and will never ignore Krishna's advice. Keshava is our friend and well-wisher, so we will hear Krishna's opinion and then decide what should be done. And as Yudhishthira took his seat, Krishna stood up. His bodily luster seemed to illuminate the whole hall with a mystical radiance. Shining yellow silk and gold ornaments framed Krishna's complexion, which resembled a blackish autumnal rain cloud. Turning his lotus petal eyes toward Sanjaya, Krishna spoke. O Sanjaya, I desire that both the Pandavas and the Kurus should be happy and prosperous. I want peace, and I am happy to see that Dhritarashtra also desires peace. Yudhishthira has already shown a rare kind of commitment to peace, since it is he who was antagonized and abused by the Kurus. So why should he suddenly wish to escalate the conflict between himself and his cousins? Surely, Sanjaya, you know as well as I do the nature of right and wrong. Why then do you find fault with Pandu's son, who has always adhered to his duties as they have been laid down in the scriptures since the days of old? Now, regarding our present discussion, there are two schools of thought among Brahmanas. Some say that by renouncing our duties, we shall achieve perfection, while others say that duties should never be renounced, but should be performed without attachment. My opinion concurs with this latter view. O Sanjaya, even to maintain himself, a man must perform his duties in this world. Knowledge without work yields no fruit. Krishna held up a bejeweled hand as he continued speaking. See how the gods in heaven shine through work. How through work the wind blows, and the sleepless sun gives rise to both day and night. Sleepless does the earth goddess carry her load, and sleepless do the rivers carry their waters to satisfy all creatures. Indra attained his exalted status by giving up pleasure and sense gratification. This is true of all the principal deities. Knowing this, Sanjaya, why do you plead on behalf of the Kauravas, exhorting the Pandavas to renounce their prescribed duties? You are wise and aware of the truth. So, consider this question. Does a king's duty lie in fighting or in not fighting? Surely you know that the Creator, Brahma, endowed kings with the power to check and even kill miscreants. Dhritarashtra has robbed Yudhishthira of his rightful property. Whether one steals covertly or openly, stealing is still sinful. So, should not Duryodhana and his followers face the consequences of their sin? And is Yudhishthira not justified in seeking to recover the stolen property, even if it means killing the robbers? Krishna looked at Yudhishthira and his brothers, who sat together like a pride of lions. The eyes of all the kings turned towards them as Krishna continued. Certainly Yudhishthira desires peace, but if his kingdom is not returned, then in my opinion, it is his duty to declare war. Indeed, it would be virtuous and praiseworthy to be killed fighting in such a religious war. It is better that Yudhishthira regain his own ancestral kingdom than to take the kingdom of another. O Sanjaya, go now and lay these ancient principles before Dhritarashtra amid his sons, as well as the assembled chiefs of the various countries. Krishna paused. His audience was absorbed, accepting his gently spoken arguments. Even Sanjaya nodded his head in agreement as Krishna spoke on. My dear Sanjaya, let me remind you that the Kurus committed their sin in their own council hall. All of them, even Bhishma, was silent when the chaste Draupadi stood weeping in Dushashan's clutches. That slave of lust viciously dragged Draupadi before her fathers-in-law just to abuse and insult her. If Dhritarashtra had checked his sons, he would have then pleased me. Dhritarashtra and all the Kurus, however, said nothing. That is, everyone except Vidura and one honest Kshatriya. All the other kings also remained silent, and you too, Sanjaya, did not utter a word. And now you want to preach righteousness to Yudhishthira? Krishna's eyes flashed as he described the incident. At that time, Karna spoke such sharp words to Draupadi that they pierced her heart. Become the Kaurava slave. Your husbands are no longer your husbands. Choose another man. That fool Karna's arrow of words also buried itself deep into Arjuna's heart. And then that sinful Shakuni again and again urged Yudhishthira to play the dice game, saying to him, "Oh, now you only have Draupadi left. Stake her, O king." And then, when the Pandavas were about to depart, In order to honor their vow, clad in black deerskins, Dushasan said, "These eunuchs, vanquished and ruined, are now going to hell for a long time." Again, Krishna paused to allow his words to sink in. After 13 years, the shock of those terrible events had worn off. But as Krishna described them, Sanjaya remembered the horror of that day. Sanjaya knew he had been wrong to stand by silently as Duryodhana and his friends committed their crime. Out of loyalty to the blind king, Sanjaya had watched in anguish as the noble Pandavas, and especially their gentle wife, had suffered unbearable insults. Without a doubt, the seeds of the present calamity were sown at that time. The arrows the Kauravas had shot would now come back at them as blazing shafts launched from Arjuna's Gandiva bow. And the silence of the elders on that day would soon be answered by the clamor of fierce battle. Sanjaya bowed his head, and Krishna continued, "So, I myself shall go to Hastinapur just to remind the Kurus of all those events. We shall settle the matter. If I can bring about peace without injuring the interests of the Pandavas, then I will have performed a virtuous act. I will also have released the Kurus from the clutches of death. I do hope Dhritarashtra's sons will receive me with respect when I go there to speak of virtue and humanity. But if it is otherwise, you can be sure that those men, consumed by their own viciousness, will lose everything on the battlefield. At the proper time, Bhimasena, with mace in hand, will remind Duryodhana of all of his cruel words." Looking around the hall, Krishna concluded with a number of poetic metaphors. Duryodhana is a tree full of malice. Karna is the trunk, Shakuni the branch, Dushasan and his brothers the numerous fruits and flowers, and the blind king Dhritarashtra is the root. On the other hand, Yudhishthira is a tall tree of virtue, Arjuna is the trunk, Bhima the branch, and the twins its fruits and flowers. I myself, along with the Vedas and Brahmanas, are its roots. O Sanjaya, tell your master that peace with the Pandavas is the only intelligent course. The Kurus are like a forest, and the Pandavas are tigers. Without tigers, men would simply cut down trees, and without the forest, the tigers would have no protection. So they need each other. The Kauravas are creepers, while the Pandavas are huge shala trees. Without the support of a tree, creepers cannot grow. The sons of Pandu are ready to either wait upon Dhritarashtra or else fight. Everything depends on how the king acts now. Go back, wise one, and explain all of this to Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya made no reply, for he knew Krishna spoke the truth. Bowing respectfully to Krishna, he then turned to Yudhishthira and spoke. With your permission, I will now leave. O God among men, I hope I have not offended you in any way. After saying goodbye to Janardhan, Bhimasena, Arjuna, and Madri's sons, as well as all the other heroes in this assembly, please give me leave to depart. May happiness and prosperity be yours, and may the king look upon you with goodwill. Yudhishthira then folded his palms toward Dhritarashtra's secretary and replied, O Sanjaya, we know that you are our well-wisher. Your speech did not offend us, for you spoke with a pure heart. Surely you are our favorite, and you have always shown us so much affection. Other than you, only Vidura could have come here. O wise one, please convey our regards to our elders and friends. Offer our respects to the Brahmanas and our affection to the people. Is the king protecting them nicely? O Sanjaya, are the arrangements we made for the well-being of all of our subjects still in place? I do hope no person is needy or afflicted within the jurisdiction of the Kurus. Yudhishthira named the Kurus one by one, asking Sanjaya to go to each of them on his behalf and ask about their health. At last, Yudhishthira said, Go to Duryodhana, who is dull-headed, ignorant, wicked, and addicted to vice, and tell him that the desire tormenting his heart for undisputed rulership is not justified. Tell him these exact words: We shall not do anything disagreeable to you. Either give back Indraprastha or fight, O chief of the Bharatas. All of the assembled kings cheered Yudhishthira's words, and the Pandava raised his hand to silence them. Turning once again to Sanjaya, Yudhishthira said, I pray that the Supreme Lord will bless that foolish man with wisdom. Sanjaya, also say these words to Duryodhana. Pandu's sons are ready to forget even the disrobing and abuse of Draupadi, just so that the Kurus may not be slaughtered. We will bear all the ills and insults that they have heaped upon us, but we want our due share. O best among men, give up your greed for others' property, for only then will you find peace. We will accept even one province so that we may perform our God-given duty of ruling over and protecting the people. Give us just 5 villages, one for each of us, and let there be an end to this quarrel once and for all. Let brother follow brother, and father unite with son. I desire to see the Kauravas and the Panchalas coming together with cheerful hearts. To do my duty, I am prepared for either peace or war. The choice is in your hands, Duryodhana. And when Yudhishthira was finished, each of his brothers gave messages for the Kauravas. When they had all spoken, Sanjaya said he would repeat their messages exactly as they had been spoken. Then Sanjaya bowed before the assembly and departed for Hastinapur.